W here. As we see some prize cards, let's have a look. Robin has prized his 1 copy of Luminion. So we did see in round 2, Pedro use that Luminion just to get in the game, to get that Chorus. That will not be an option for Robin.
So here we are, game 1, Filippo versus Robin, and we're going to see straight away that Greninja in the active spot. So let's talk a little bit about the deck list here. So we mentioned in that graphic beforehand, use Drapion is a strategy for LostBox against Mew VMax. There is one deck here that has a Drapion. Which one do you reckon it is?
Well, I would have said LostBox, but actually Filippo has the copy of Drapion V in there. We all know Drapion V is a really good card against Mew with that dynamic tail attack, which does 190 damage. Obviously ×2 when it's hitting the Mew for weakness. Doesn't sound too great for full energy. However, there is that wild style ability, which minuses off an attack cost for each Fusion Strike, Rapid Strike, or Single Strike Pokemon in play. However, that won't be doing a lot for Filippo in this matchup.
Yeah, so that's a nice mirror tech there for the Mew VMax, so they can almost guarantee that win. I've played Mew VMax once or twice, and every time I've had Drapion in, but that was when Mew VMax was everywhere at my local. But here, it's going to be against LostBox, and so it's not going to be useful here. But what we mentioned is normally LostBox's strategy against Mew is to try and get that Drapion out. But there is no Drapion in Robin's list. So the route to getting knockouts here is going to be heavily through that Snorlax, which we see one of them. He has 2 of them. One of them is in the prizes there.
Yeah, as well as that 1 copy of Roxanna as well. And like you said, yeah, with 1 copy of Snorlax prize, you know, if the other Snorlax gets Lost City'd, Robin's sort of attacking options, it could start to get limited real quick. But there we do see the Cramorant, you know, never a bad option. Cramorant's actually really good if you can just swing that into, wow, who needs a VIP battle pass, as we see all the ability markers coming in from the top. Love to see that. Good turn from Robin there, filling up the board. Only got 1 card in Lost Zone. No, that could be something worth noting, but I imagine he might just want to be swinging with a Cramorant soon.
Yeah, and we mentioned about the Snorlax being so good, and it's that Mirage Gate strategy, which does require 7 in the Lost Zone, so still quite a lot for Robin to do to start hitting those knockouts on things like your Genesis X or your unevolved Mews. So definitely the strategy is to try and get to that Mirage Gate tipping point as soon as possible. First turn, unfortunately, because of the concealed cards route that was taken, there wasn't the ability to get too many flower selectings off. But now we see a deck check here for Filippo, and we will see how there is very much a DTE in the prizes, but one's fine at this stage. And there is, of course, that Mew in the prizes there, but again, 4 of those in the deck. So the only big key cards, I guess you could say the Lost Vacuum as well, might come in important at some point, but ultimately the most key cards in the prizes are all ones that are 4-ofs.
Yeah, for sure. The only thing that I might be a bit worried for Filippo at those prizes is that if Filippo wants to utilize like a Psychic Leap strategy to remove damage, as we see a Tails, unfortunately, is that if you want to utilize Psychic Leap, you tend to normally want to have 3 Mew Vs for that. So you've got at least 2 Mew Vs in play. So Robin can't just, you know, quickly KO the only Mew V in play, meaning that Filippo wouldn't have an attacker. So to utilize Psychic Leap, you want to have 3 Mews. However, with 1 in the prizes, you know, if 1 hits the discard path for whatever reason or gets KO'd, that could prove quite difficult, as we do see the second Mew V coming down. With the Ultra, we'll get rid of a Path to the Peak. Path to the Peak, interesting in this matchup. It's interesting that we see Mew opting to play these Path to the Peaks now. Only really turns off the Radiant Greninja for Robin, though.
Yeah, because that Luminion's in the prizes, so he's not going to be able to get that. But that Greninja can be key. We saw in the first turn how useful it was to get more basics in the hand. And the main thing is it worth putting the path down? Do I have everything I need at this stage, or will it disrupt me more than it will disrupt the opponent? And that's why some matchups, the path is merely a discardable resource, which, again, always very useful to have in a Mew list. And we see here Cramorant, another roll here. Let's see if this is a heads.
Yay, there you go. 50-50 as it should be.
Yeah, so fair play to Filippo, getting a chance to search for any card of his choice through that Cramomatic. And with the choice band going, that's just due to the lack of Vs on the opposite side.
Yeah, choice band not going to get a terrible amount of use in this matchup, even if Mew VMax wants to hit into the Luminion, you know, Choice Belt or Power Tablets aren't a necessity, and it only has 170 HP. So Choice Belt pretty much a discard fodder in this matchup for all intents and purposes. And there we see the 3 Mew VMax. So Filippo might be looking to utilize that Psychic Leap strategy like I alluded to, because if you have 3 in play, that means when you leap you have 2 Mews, so Robin can't just immediately solve any Mew threat there. Quickly identifying that. So I imagine we will be seeing some Psychic Leap shenanigans.
Yeah, and that Psychic Leap is for 70, but with the double turbo energy build, it'll only do 50. So to get a knockout on a Comfey, for example, you'd have to get a damage modifier with a Power Tablet.
Yes.
So there is a lot to weave in here in this matchup. And as we mentioned before, Drapon is often a threat that people playing against LostBox will be worried about. And at this stage, Filippo will be thinking, when's that Drapon going to come out? And it's really key to bring it out normally in the LostBox decks against the VMax. So he's constantly going to be thinking, when's that Drapon going to appear? When's the Drapon going to appear? Because it's always an option for a LostBox. That
is actually a fantastic point. Filippo doesn't know if Robin plays the Drapon. And as a fellow Mew player myself, you always have to respect the threat of Drapon. So, yeah, he will be trying to play around that for the longest of time. So, and like you said, you always want to bring it into a VMax where it takes 3 prize cards, right? But over to Robin there, we start the turn with the concealed cards, use the Comfey for that flower selecting.
Can we just appreciate the markers once again?
Yeah, these markers are gorgeous. They make it really helpful for us actually, so we know what's been used and what hasn't used. They are fantastic. Love to see that. So looking at Robin's hand here, he's taking his time. I see a capture, I see a quick ball. I see an electric attachment to pay retreats into another Comfey. To be fair, Robin hasn't got the greatest amount of cards in the Lost Zone yet. This is going to be number 3, I believe. Ooh, that's a tough choice there. Sableye or Escape Rope. And the reason why that's such a tough choice is because if that Sableye hits the Lost Zone, hits the Lost Zone, sorry, and then the next Sableye gets Lost Citied, there's going to be no threat of Sableye once the second one gets hit with a Lost City. So, again, these Lost Box micro decisions so important.
Yeah, really looking to try and find that Chorus Experiment at this stage.
Yeah.
It seems to be eluding Robin at this moment. So 3 in the Lost Zone right now. We'll need to get another Comfey down and find a way to get into it. There is actually one in hand, so got to work out a way to get to it. There is so many switch outs in this list, as is typical of the Lost Engine. We've got 4 scoop up nets, 3 escape ropes, 2 switching carts. So and obviously the manual retreats, as well as an air balloon available. So loads of different ways to move stuff out of the active spot that we have seen the attachment and retreat this turn. So that is taken away as an option. And now it's going to be relying on those item cards to potentially help move the Comfey out of the active and get another flower selecting done. But maybe playing conservatively at this stage, threatening the potential for that Snorlax knockout in the future once Mirage Gate's online.
Yeah, Snorlax being able to uptrade into Genesect is huge. The only problem with that is, though, Robin only plays 1 copy of Boss, so it's going to be quite hard for him to actually try and pick up KOs on the Genesect with just a raw Snorlax. So outside of maybe some like escape rope shenanigans or something. So Sableye's going to have to be used here to try and, I believe, to KO these Genesects. Because I'm sure Robin knows any damage onto Mew Vs can just be Psychic Leap, so you don't really want to be putting damage there for all intents and purposes. Here we do see that Oranguru, like we mentioned on the lunch break actually, integral to many decks, not just Lugia, but here LostBox are giving that extra dig, and wow, we don't even get to see a Spit Innocently here, no attack at all.
Yeah, and that Spit Innocently is key to getting damage onto a Mew to force a Psychic Leap. Because if you get that, the Psychic Leap then has to counter a Cramorant, which has got a little bit more hit points. Then you start taking resources out. So a big miss here by not getting that Spit Innocently. And as we mentioned, the Chorus Experiment, or lack of Chorus Experiment, has majorly affected Robin's turn here and would affect any Lost Engine's early turns. So 3 in the Lost Zone after 2 turns is not ideal.
Yeah, you'd really want to be looking at Mirage Gates from turns 2 really with a LostBox deck. You know, when you played like Giratina V-Star back, I say back in the day, only like a month or so ago, you would be trying to get Mirage Gate turn 2, and LostBox is much easier to do that because you've got so many more switching cards than what a Giratina would have had. Only 3 in the Lost Zone by turn 2 has to be a little bit disappointing, but like we said in the Pedro game, only giving up 1 prize at a time means you have got a little bit of a relaxed time frame as a LostBox player to sort of get involved. Filippo using that Fusion Strike system, what an absolute crazy ability that is, letting you draw up to the amount of Fusion Strike Pokemon you have in play. honestly bonkers. One of the main reasons why I play Mew so much is you can just draw out 20 cards a turn. Can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, and you see there's only 3 in play right now. As you mentioned, using the 3 Mew on the bench is key to use that Psychic Leap strategy. And you've got the...
Oh, wow. Sorry to cut you off there, but we see a power tablet going. I'm not sure what Filippo's hand is, but power tablets are going to be so integral to use the Psychic Leaps, and I imagine that must have been a costly decision for him.
Yeah, and if he keeps a Mew in play, there's always, as we mentioned, that threat of a Mew VMax in play.
So he's going for the Marnie. Really interesting... what's the word? Defense here against LostBox is the Marnie, because, like we said, these LostBox decks tend to just want to grow their hands to, like 8, 9, 10 cards. They can have all their options. They can Mirage Gate at will or switch at will. Looks like Filippo wants to try and disrupt Robin's hand, but in all honesty, Robin hasn't really been doing a great deal. I wonder if the Marnie here is it's an interesting play, because I think if my opponent was doing a whole lot of nothing, I wouldn't want to be giving him the Marnie. But then equally, Filippo's hand isn't going to let him draw that many, so he needs the fresh cards himself.
Yeah, with LostBox, Marnies can be very effective later on in the game because they build up such a big hand. But as you mentioned, at this stage, not showing a Chorus Experiment, you might just Marnie them into exactly what they want. As we see, the cross switches are both available, so that's a great option to target exactly what he wants on the bench. To naturally draw into that from the Marnie is very fortunate. And then we see the power tablet there, so available for a Psychic Leap in the future.
Yep.
So lots of options here available for Filippo, so it'll be interesting to see which route he decides to take here.
Yeah, so, I mean, you can always check the cram, get rid of the choice belt. Like we said, choice belt is pretty irrelevant in this matchup. I've been intrigued to see what he grabs if this is heads. Here we go. Trust the dice, believe the dice, and the dice will reward you, as it were. So I'm intrigued to see what he takes here. What was that big green card?
I was thinking that when I saw that.
Is that the Forest Sealstone?
I think it's the Forest Sealstone. When I first saw it, I thought it was a massive grass energy.
Yeah, I was like, what is that? Didn't actually get to see what he took there either. But yeah, I was really confused. I was like, hoping we get to see a second look. I'm guessing it's the Forest Sealstone. Actually, a new addition from you. From Silver Tempest, giving you effectively computer search on a tool card. You're going to... Oh, here we go. See the cross switcher. What's this into?
The Snorlax.
The Snorlax. Very interesting, actually, because we know Robin's prized one.
And the Lost City as well.
Is there a Lost City?
Oh,
my goodness. This is actually a big swing turn here. This is effectively removing Robin's ability to one-shot anything right now, right? Lost Citying this, Snorlax goes into the Lost Zone. The Snorlax is at the bottom of Robin's prize, so he might actually be able to grab it, but there isn't going to be any Mirage Gate shenanigans at least next turn for a KO. And
He's
this
got
is
to take
huge.
a prize first before he can do that. And everything right now on the Mew VMax side is too bulky for the majority of Robin's attackers, except for Snorlax, which is now out of play. But it does add one into the Lost Zone, so it helps with the Lost Zone counter.
Yeah.
So the Cram right now is on board, or can now be activated. So that is a huge turn there for Filippo. Goodbye Snorlax.
Even holding the boss's orders and a tablet, meaning he will be able to pick off exactly what he wants when he wants next turn. And here we go. I believe we do see a very nice Rainbow Rare Colress there from Robin. I think he's just deciding on his decision making there, sequencing order, option to go for the Orangu first there, I believe.
I think that was to VIP pass onto the top.
VIP to the pass and VIP to the top, I should say. And here we see the Colress. Top card's obviously going to be a VIP, but what are the other ones?
Yeah, so the VIP pass at this point, an easy card to put in the Lost Zone. We do see another Chorus Experiment for next turn, some switch outs and Conface to continue building up that Lost Zone. Just debating whether to keep the Confe or the Quick Ball.
Yeah, I think that's the choice I would have went with, I believe. So now he's up to 6 in the Lost Zone. That Lost Zone counter there coming in the clutch, which means the Mirage Gate is getting close now. But like I said, with no Snorlaxes, there isn't really any Mirage Gate targets you really want to do here. Is Daora, really good against Lugia, not good against Mew.
It's 30 plus 80 if it's a V. So
yeah,
be hitting 110, could maybe hit 140 with the choice belt, but
yeah.
That's not going to be doing much here against Mew. So Robin might look to maybe hit the Greninja onto the bench to start getting damage about for Sableye.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I think a Mirage Gate into Greninja might be the best play onto 2 Genesets, because any damage into this Mew is probably just going to get Psychic Leaped, especially since Filippo does have a boss and a power tablet. I mean, you can always just get a KO on a Comfey, take a prize and move the damage. So...
Yeah,
it's interesting.
Both lightning in the discard there, so that means the only flavors of energy are water and psychic for those Mirage Gates. And there is one Water and one Psychic in the prize cards. I didn't see if there was any that went into the Lost Zone, but this is the biggest challenge for LostBox, is managing those resources whilst you're getting stuff into the Lost Zone, especially energy, as it's so vital. And you can see right now he's actually just checking the energies, make sure he gets that all right. And at this point, very behind due to those first 2 turns, only getting 3 in the Lost Zone, no activation of the Spit Innocently for the Cramorant, and so it does mean that we're going to be seeing a bit of a catch-up game here. I'll be interested to see which route Robin tries to take.
Yeah, no, you're 100% correct. I'm very intrigued to see what he's going to take here. We did see a Sableye come out of the deck via Quick Ball, a little bit of thinning. Yeah, Sableye is going to be integral to this, the win con for Robin here for sure, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't think there's a Mirage Gate in hand. We see the switch card into the next Confab, into another flower selecting. Let's see what these 2 cards are. Double choice belt. Oh, that was an easy decision. Yeah. Loving that hand cam there on the flower selects, and that is super good. Just so we can get a nice good look at that. So yeah, this is not looking great for Robin. I think the best thing we can see might just be a Spit Innocently into the active, but that... Oh no, there is a Mirage. Is that Mirage Gate? I can't tell. It's in German, I think it might be actually.
Yeah, it looks like a Mirage Gate in there, yeah, just behind the Zeraora.
Yeah, behind the Zeraora.
And it's interesting as well, you mentioned about that easy decision on the choice belt, and I do wonder how much people's poker face comes into the Lost engine, because if you make a quick decision, it either means you got exactly what you want, or it means you've had a definite choice.
One, yeah.
Especially if you put a choice belt in there. If you put a VIP pass, we all understand that that's going to go straight into the Lost Zone. But I do wonder how often people can kind of have a guess at what people have taken in their flower selectings based off of the way they react.
No, that is a fantastic point, actually. And that's where you get that sort of high level, like, meta gaming mind games, as it were, right? Like, you think, oh, that must have been a good one, if that was.
Oh, yeah, the classic one is always, how many cards in hand?
Yeah.
And then play something else, and they think, oh, did they have a Marnie there? Yeah. Why have they asked that?
The other one is when your opponent top decks a card and they immediately look at your bench, so, oh, that was a Boston. That's the easy one.
Oh, well, we see here Mew did get attacked by that Spit Innocently, 110 damage on the Mew VMax now. So this is where those power tablets start to become a big part of the question. It will take 2 power tablets plus a Psychic Leap to remove that Mew from play and get the knockout on the Cramorant. So considering one's in the prizes, one was discarded earlier with a Cramomatic, so it means that there's only 2 available to guarantee that removal of energy on the Mew VMax.
Wait, what?
So I don't think that is the the Forest Seal Stone. There is a grass energy in there with writing on it. So I wonder if we can get that checked up, because I saw that early on, and I did wonder that.
That definitely looked like a basic energy. Maybe he forgot to change it before the event. Oh,
yeah, maybe he forgot to change the proxy before the event.
Goodness gracious. That might have to get looked at some point, but I think for now, looks like he's going to do a power tablet. And there's the boss. I imagine it's going to be into the Comfey. Oh, the Greninja. That's interesting. Might see a Technoblast, actually a KO.
Yeah. I'm sure some people at home might have spotted that. I mean, it's hard to see when people are going through the deck, and especially as we're not used to Forest Seal Stone at this stage, what it looks like is a green flash of card. But I assume the judges will take a look at that soon. And so we'll have a look at that green-looking card in the deck to see whether that is a proxy or whether it is a Forest Seal Stone.
So just to confirm, it looked like we saw a copy in Filippo's deck of a grass energy that just has, you can actually see it towards the back of his deck here, that just says Forest Seal Stone written in marker pen. So it looks like a proxy that's not really, I mean, he could argue he's trying to use it as a grass basic energy, but then again, that's not on his deck list. So,
okay, so we just got some information. So for those of you wondering at home, it is a maybe a judge-issued proxy. So we don't know the exact details of that. I mean, I would assume it was a judge-issued proxy by deck check.
Okay.
So it is legal, and for those of you wondering and saw that, that makes sense now.
Yeah, it does make sense. Yeah, I thought there's no way he's taken a proxy so brazenly onto stream acting like nothing's wrong. So yeah, it is judge issued, so it is going to be 100% legal. So there is, nothing untoward happening, which I am glad to hear, because that would have been super awkward.
I mean, I have incredible confidence to go on stage with a proxy if that was the case. But at this stage, The Forest Seal Stone, for you guys at home, is a grass energy, so if you see that come out, you'll know what that is. But yeah, the current debate is that knockout on the Greninja is taking away another big hitting option. We're talking about LostBox here, which is struggling to get enough damage to start knocking out the Mew VMax's cards, and to get rid of the first Snorlax, and then this one will also go into the Lost Zone with the Lost City. That's taking away all the big hitters for the Pokemon.
Yeah, so there we go. See that Forest Seal Stone there. So it does actually say Judge, I think, on it. I think it said CC or DC for deck check. So there we go. So there is that out of the way in the open. So
I've never seen that before.
No, I've never seen that as well. That is news. You learn something new every day when you play Pokemon, eh? That's what we like to see. But yeah, you're 100% correct. This Radiant Greninja hitting the Lost Zone is... Yeah, this is not looking great for him, because now he's got no way to access the bench outside of Sableye, obviously. But one of them, I think, has been Lost Zone, I believe. Radiant Greninja hitting the Lost Zone. No way to... this is looking a bit suspect right now. And this Mew VMax, even if it's got 110, isn't going to get KO'd anytime soon. So doesn't even need to have to Psychic Leap. I think we probably just... Do we see a Techno? Or we just see a retreat into... What attack are we going to see here? Probably a Techno Blast, if I had to guess.
Yeah, no, there's just so much on board here for Filippo. He's got everything ready and available, including...
Oh, no, it'd be a Max Miracle, I believe it would be. That's why he played a Power Tablet. Yeah, Max Miracle. Okay.
There we go. So now the Mew in the active spot can even protect itself from any kind of knockout, because, you know, the retreat there, the Max Miracle, it doesn't need to retreat itself. So there's so much in favour here of Filippo. Just got so many hit points available. Which LostBox just struggles to get, and with the prizes in favour, and that's going to be a scoop.
Concession, yeah.
Robin just recognising there is no route here to victory. Every option has been taken away in that early. So we'll be seeing game 2 on the feature table. Another Snorlax in the prizes there for Robin.
3 tablets prize for our Mew player, Filippo, though. So that's going to make any Psychic Leap strategy, which I think he was definitely aware of, because he went for the 3 Mew V, so he definitely knows about that strategy. But with 3 tablets prize, that's going to be super painful to attempt. But like you said, Robin got another Snorlax prize. Snorlax is not wanting to get involved in this game whatsoever. Snorlax, keep me in the prizes.
Well, we see Chorus Experiment both in the flower selecting and in the hand. By putting that in the Lost Zone, it will make it very clear that there is a Chorus Experiment in the hand. And there's not many cards that are better than a Chorus Experiment, so as we mentioned, Filippo will be thinking what has been taken into the hand, so that Scoop Up Net will be available for a potential chain of flower selecting. On the other side, I did see a few other Genesects in Filippo's starting hand, and with the current format, there's not many ways to disrupt the first hand. Yeah. There's not really any ways. I guess Escape Rope could change the active Pokemon, is something to think about. But other than that, it's worth keeping as many of your cards close to your chest and reveal them on your active turn, so you can start putting all those basics down, because it might make Robin play differently, a bit more aggressively potentially.
Yeah, 100%. There's no reason, if you're going second, to ever bench any other Pokemon. There's no advantageous reason for yourself. All it does is give your opponent extra information that you don't really need to give them. So yeah, it's quite smart there. Keep them in the hand. You know,
all that Chromomatics straight away with the choice.
Yeah, that's going to be
choice belt will be the first thing we might see.
To be fair, there wasn't a lot of ball search there, so Filippo could be in a bit of a tough spot. You know, you need to have ball search in your Mew opening hand, so you can actually start filling the bench and getting Fusion Strike systems. So I believe, if depending on what the top deck is, you know, you can cram away the choice belt, maybe draw a couple cards with the Fusion Strike systems, but that's a tough decision as well. The Water Energy, he does play 4, so there should be 3 more access there for the access with the Greninja, I should say, and maybe even Aqua Return. We could see that being used off Luminion as well.
Yeah, and on the other side, we did see a little glimpse of Filippo's hand, so there is going to be lots to do in that first turn, and potentially using that choice belt to get it out the hand by attaching it and then chromating the other card in the hand. So there's lots of different routes Filippo could take to try and maximize draw with the Genesect. But at this stage, we are seeing more of a common first turn here from Robin, already getting 2 in the Lost Zone, and the ability to retreat off this Capture Energy into another common phase. So it's probably going to be at least 3 in the Lost Zone in this turn. Yeah,
and that's what you're really looking for as a LostBox player. You know, get plenty of cards in that Lost Zone. So you can activate those Mirage Gates, you know, start swinging Snorlax, Radiant Greninja, any of that business, and then try and build to a Sableye a lot faster. So with another Chorus and a Psychic Energy, surely can't bin off that Chorus as well.
That was concealed cards, so he gets to keep both
concealed card. Okay, right, yeah.
Yeah, so he's just trying to play a bit faster here to try and get through this game, and so he actually did that concealed cards as the deck was being cut by Filippo, so really trying to maximise his speed of play here, which is a key skill to have when playing LostBox, and it's often a factor that puts people off playing LostBox at big regional events.
100%, you are correct. These camera angles just make it so easy for us to see. We see the escape rope, and that was a tough choice there, I believe, because the escape rope is going to be able to just, give Robin pivot so he can use more flower selectings. But I guess escape rope also might help out Filippo. What was the top deck? Mew VMax? This is not a great hand.
Yeah, 2 Mew VMax there. There is an Ultra Ball, so can get more basics down. And we'll be using that Ultra Ball on the Choice Belt and the Chromatic potentially.
Yeah, I think this is one of those times where you could take the risk off Cram, but it could be potentially game ending. I'd probably like to see the Chromatic, kept and get rid of one of the VMaxes. I believe he plays 3. I don't think you ever need all 3 in this matchup.
Well, he knows there's definitely 2 in the deck because they're in his hand.
Yeah, but
it's just whether there's that extra one, and so he'll check that now. So that will give him an idea. So he knows now that he has a 3rd Mew VMax. So if he does want to discard on a future turn or a future moment here, because he's still got a load of draw potential with those Genesects, there is that potential there. So he's just checking the Marnies now. A key in this matchup to disrupt the amazing draw that LostBox offers. And we'll find that the Roxanne is not available. So just checking everything there, and a very good deck check, nice and efficient. Nice little technique there of putting stuff up above to be able to see it.
Yeah, that's what I'd recommend if anyone wants to learn how to prize check. That's the easiest way to go. You look through, fling up the cards that you're counting, then you can make a mental note or even use a notepad, write it down, and that's how I learned to prize check at a reasonable rate. Yeah, that's how
you're
I
a notepad man.
Yeah, I'm a notepad man, me.
See, I'm a push through, try and remember everything, and then the moment I shuffle my deck, I go, what did I just check?
See, I'm exactly like that as well. That's why I had to get the notebook. I was like, I can't remember. Here we see the first VMax system. That's for 2 cards by the looks of it. Yeah, we see a Marnie and a DTE. There's a DTE.
Okay.
He does play the Marnie. Interesting. I guess Robin did have a pretty big hand there, actually. Marnie, again, disrupting these LostBox. I think there was actually a Chorus experiment.
We knew there was a Chorus in there because of one going into the Lost Zone. And I think he actually drew a second one. So
yeah, he did.
There's one Chorus experiment in the Lost Zone, and there were 2 in that previous hand. So
there's
this
one
Marnie,
in the prizes as well.
Yeah, so that Marnie is going to take away all the Chorus experiment options. A shuffle of the deck will be needed to even draw into one.
Exactly.
So that's a very dangerous Marnie, even if Filippo didn't realise.
No, 100% I'm sure Robin. And it looks like he's got like a VIP, a Scoop Up Net, an Oranguru, and a Capture. So not the greatest of hands there for Robin, unfortunately. He has got flower selecting available, though, and stuff like this. So
yeah, and then there's concealed cards. Oranguru quickly could go into a very nice hand, but maybe even that Capture as a shuffle will be a good option to start things off.
100% correct, actually. Yeah, that is. And I'm guessing Filippo probably knows at this point that Robin probably doesn't play the Drapion, because we would have seen it, which we can try and play a bit more wide now. Opting to go for the 4 Genesects, so not going for the Psychic Leap at least strategy, at least not immediately. So that is interesting. As it stands now, though, this Genesect is kind of stuck in the active. We do see Path. That stopped a good. Oh, that's actually a bit gross, because that stopped a Greninja now. Just limiting options.
Yeah, we said we'd wonder if this would come out.
There was the Luminion as well, so you can't use that. Oh my goodness, it's a big flower selecting. Energy Roxanne. Can't use Roxanne now, unfortunately. That's one of the balancing factors to Roxanne being a strong hand disruption, but you can't use it at the start of the game. And
concealed cards not an option with that energy that was taken as well. So that path could be deadly here, because it's taken away the Luminion and the concealed cards from the Greninja. The 2 things it can affect in that deck, and that path is vital here. So Mew disruption is very much in the room right now.
Yeah, and that's the great equalizer, right? Like any time you have a bad matchup, you can still win if you just don't give your opponent. I thought it was a concession there, but no, it was the Capture energy. Like on paper could be a bad matchup, right? But if you don't let your opponent have any resources, they can't execute their game plan, you can win. And this looks like a dire situation. Here we do see the Capture energy looking for that shuffle, like you alluded to, giving Robin the chance to get that Chorus back, or anything back at this point. We see the second crime rank come down, just trying to thin the deck, improve those odds.
One thing that's quite interesting here on Filippo's list is he only plays 1 of the Forest Seal Stones, despite playing, and only 2 Lost Vacuum, despite playing 3 Path. Yeah. Now, what we have seen generally with the Path-focused Mew build is it has lots of ways out of pathing yourself out of the game, because sometimes, and this is something I've done quite a lot against Mew that plays with path, is I use their path plus my own Marnies to disrupt them. But thankfully for Filippo, is he has everything down on board with that Mew with the double turbo energy, just needs to find the Mew VMax next turn.
Yeah.
So that's it does mean there's a little bit easier to find his out of this path potentially. Yeah,
100%. Like, it isn't like Mew VMax doesn't operate like the Mew tag team back in the day where it needed its ability to attack. It can still attack and function, you know, even under path. So like I said, if you can find the Mew VMaxes and retreat between them, you're kind of fine actually. So here we see the Oranguru go down. That flower selecting wasn't the greatest. It was between a water energy and a psychic, and I believe he took the water as there was a psychic in the lost zone already. Here we see the big Oranguru, I believe. Here we go, getting rid of water energy. Let's see what that card was. Psychic. Oh my goodness.
Right, well, very much not getting what we needed. I mean, energy would be great if concealed cards was able to be activated, but we mentioned last game how important that disruption was early on. That meant that Robin only got an attack off after 2 turns. Does get the Cramorant off here with that Spit Innocently, so not completely denied of the original game plan of a Spit Innocently on turn 2. But it does mean that the future turns are going to have to be digging that bit deeper. Lost zone count needs to be increased from now on for Robin. He can't just sit and Spit Innocently and start powering up the next attacker. Has to really keep building up that lost zone. So great disruption from Filippo with that path and the Marnie, and is now going to be looking to draw into the next options he needs. But he's found that Mew VMax off of the Marnie.
Yeah, so it looks like he's on an Ultra Ball for this Mew VMax. I mean, intrigued to see if he actually evolves, because if he does, that locks him out of Psychic Leap for a long time. Goes for the evolve. Okay, we have the DT. We still need to get this Genesect out of the active. Oh, we see the staging replacement into Lost City. Very nice. So now we see a Fusion Strike system for 6. That's right. New trading cards into Filippo's hand. We need to see a switching option though. Let's see. I know. He hasn't attached energy yet, so he can use DTE to attach retreat, but there's not a lot of other cards he can get out of the hand here.
Well, when we saw him path last turn, he could see most of the things he played in this turn. So he would have known he had that Ultra Ball, so he had the access to the Mew VMax, and he might have already had the Lost City as well. So
True.
He knew he could sit on that hand, and right now Robin really needed those Chorus Experiments. So he thought it was unlikely that any kind of disruption would come through, and there is no Marnie in Robin's list. There's no way to reset that hand other than a late game Roxanne. So Filippo held that hand well and is now in a position to be able to attack if he wants to, but he might look to dig a bit deeper to keep that double turbo energy for an attachment, or he might just play it safe and guarantee that that knockout here.
Interesting decision for him to thin here. He can attach that big Parasol, Lost Vacuum away the Drapion just to get it out of hand, and then he can draw more cards, or he might opt to, and we might be seeing it here, or he might opt to just leave that big Parasol on there so it can't get Sableye. Does big Parasol actually work for them? Maybe double check that.
If it's in the active.
Oh, no, yeah. Okay, it has to be in the active, so.
Yeah.
Will we see it get Lost City? Doesn't look like it. So we just see the pay retreat.
And it would have to be on the Mew VMax.
Yeah, on the Mew VMax, yeah.
So he might be thinking it protects it, or he might also just be playing it, like you said, to get rid of it.
Yeah, just to get out of the hand, yeah. And that Greninja going to the Lost Zone again is huge, because that Greninja might have been able to just, KO that Genesect on the bench with Moonlight Shuriken. We saw how impactful that attack is, and that was just like more energy there from Robin. Here we go, 1-2 on the flower selecting. We see that's an easy decision. Get that battle pass out there, but Manaphy not the greatest cards in this matchup. Manaphy doesn't do a lot. Filippo has no access to the bench outside of Glistening Droplets, but that places damage counters, doesn't do damage. So Manaphy is useless as well.
So is that 7 in the Lost Zone? It might be 6.
I think it's 7 after that flower selecting, I believe.
Okay, because there should also be. Oh, it's because of the Lost City.
Yeah, the Lost City. Yeah, you got it. Yeah.
I missed that one.
Oh, so we see a Mirage Gate here, though. I didn't see what the other card was. We did see a Mirage Gate.
It's activated now. The
yeah.
7 in the Lost Zone.
What, is that a boss? I can't make out what that second card is. It's a full. Oh, it was a boss. Yeah.
Boss.
That's a tough decision, because Robin only plays one boss's orders, and this is where playing one of in a Lost Zone engine can come back to bite you, because was that the boss. I think that was.
He put the Mirage Gate into the Lost Zone, so he values that boss more than the potential energy attachment, which there's nothing to attach to right now. So the Snorlax would be the main target at this point, because outside of that, you've got the Greninja, which no longer in play. You've got the potential usage on Sableye to get that psychic energy out the deck if that's the case. You also have Luminion that can be used as an attacker to send back into the deck. And the other attacker is Aurora, which isn't useful in this matchup. That's for the Lugia matchup. So that Mirage Gate is most likely going to be used on a Snorlax later on. For now, it's going to be another Spit Innocently.
Yeah, it looks like. And to be fair, now that there's no access for Filippo to use Psychic Leap, damage onto the VMax is actually fine because it's not going to go anywhere. So and these are big, beefy 3-prize Pokemon which can eve up the prize trade at a ridiculously fast rate, especially when you're playing a 1-prize deck, right? Like there is going to be no Stoutlands coming down from you, though, so there will be no way to surprise hop for Filippo there.
So it's 110 onto that Mew VMax. So to finish that off, they need to find a way to get 200 damage, right?
Yep. So Snorlax with a Choice Belt gets there.
Perfect.
Yep. Which is why Robin probably valued the Boss's Oilers. If it does retreat, attack the next one, just boss it back, bring it back up with the Snorlax. Very possible. Here we see the Marnie coming down. 4 cards for Robin, 5 Filippo. So we see that Forest Stone. I think that was a Path to the Peak, a Quick Ball, Marnie, and I think 1 copy of Cross Switcher. So nothing too outrageous there. Also, you can draw some cards. Jen says that's 2 Cross Switches now, I believe. So I imagine this might want to hit the Oranguru, or it might want to hit a Comfey. I don't think you really mind the Cramorants too much.
Yeah, and anyone who's just tuning in now, who's just seen that Forest Seal Stone as a grass energy, that is a judge allocated proxy.
Yes.
We were as surprised as you might have been if you just tuned in, but something that the judges are very good at doing here is making sure that the game is as fair as possible.
Yes.
The judges do amazing work at these events, and speaking of which, judges as the card is seeing a bit of play as well. But at this stage, Filippo in a strong position, but at these kind of lost box strategies of just chipping away, putting a little bit of damage here and there, is definitely a viable way to catch your opponent off guard when you then suddenly Sableye later on to finish things off.
No, 100%. No, Lost Box is never truly out of it. You never know. You could get like a boss stick into a Genesect, then the Genesect can't retreat or move, and you can just Sableye around. And yeah, I don't think Lost Box is ever truly out of it, to be perfectly honest. And Lost Zone up to 10 now, I believe, which means Sableye is available to start rocking and rolling.
Everything's active.
Everything is active indeed. Chorus or Choice? Oh, Choice Belt's actually needed for that Snorlax to get that KO, but I think he might still have. Well, yeah, he plays 3 Choice Belts, so there should be at least 1 available still. The Marnie actually,
1 in the prizes, and then there's I think 1 in the deck, maybe.
Yeah, I think 1's in the deck, and the Marnie actually was quite nice to Robin there. That's a nice big hand after the flower selectings and things. So let's see what this Quick Ball targets. And here comes the Snorlax. Okay, so we know the boss got put away after Marnie, didn't it? Actually.
Yeah, so it is a tricky one, but there is a potential here to find that Choice Belt. So that flower selecting to get put the Choice Belt into the Lost Zone. So maybe it's in hand. So there's a lot right now for Robin to think about, and a lot of pieces needed to get this Snorlax attack off. Thankfully, there is plenty of ways to get to it. I think there was a Chorus Experiment in hand as well. Maybe that's what was chosen over the Choice Belt. So that's going to give access to more cards from the deck, and hopefully for Robin's sake, it's not too many energy in this.
Yeah, you don't want energy in here, that's for sure. Let's have a look. Oh.
There's 2 Psychic in there.
2 Psychic and 2 Mirage Gate.
Okay.
Raihan's actually kind of helpful as well, but I don't think there's a ton of options energy in the discard. So I think Raihan always goes, and it looks like 1 copy of Psychic. So you sort of jinxed him a little bit there when you said no energy.
I mean, that's the challenge with the Lost Engine, isn't it? The hard decisions of what do you put into the Lost Zone. And actually, there are 3 Psychic Energy in this deck for Robin. One of them's already in the Lost Zone, and he's just checked that Lost Zone, and he's now debating, I don't actually want to put both those Psychic in there, because he might need that Psychic for the Snorlax, and then that would take it away as an option for the Sableye. Yeah,
you are 100% correct. So let's have a look what he opts to do here. Snorlax comes down. So there is going to be a Mirage Gate there for sure. Yeah, interesting turn. We see the Psychic Energy. And that's the thing, but with the Lost Zone engines is that you are essentially putting, a large chunk of your deck in a place where you can't get it anymore. Sometimes there will be some inconsistencies with that. So let's see what Robin opts to do here. We do see the Mirage Gate. Okay, so this is probably going to go to the Snorlax. We sort of need That's starting to get powered up at some point. We see 1 electric, 1 water. I don't think there's actually a 3rd basic energy in the deck. So until we see, oh no, there's 1 psychic as well. So he's got 1 psychic left in deck. So the rest energy is in his hand. So we've got to keep tabs on that.
Interesting. So we do see, so that's 1 psychic in deck,
Yes.
and then 1 in the lost zone, and then
2 in hand, I believe.
2 in hand. Interesting. I thought it was only 3 in the deck, but we'll see. And we've got the choice belt in the prizes as well. And you can see there the choice.
Oh, it's 1 in hand, sorry.
Oh, it's only 1 in hand. That makes a lot more sense then. But anyway, we saw that choice belt go into the lost zone. There's 1 in the prizes as well. So we're now starting to wonder, how is this Snorlax going to get powered up fully? Or you said there's no way to get it out of play. So there is potential to damage it up to 20 hit points left, and then it would be able to be finished off alongside the Genesect that's on the bench with a Sableye. So
yep, for sure.
There's so many options for LostBox, and these top players have so many routes to victory that they think of. So right now, Robin is having to think through which one he's going to take.
I believe Lost Mine's probably going to be the attack we see this turn, just trying to spread some damage around, maybe bring this Mew VMax in the active down, maybe start spreading onto the Genesect, because the problem with putting damage on this Mew VMax is that it's just going to retreat. That means you're going to have to try and find your one-off boss's orders to try and capitalize on those prizes. So I've been intrigued to see where this Lost Mine goes. So you see the scoop up net power selecting, comp fade back down. We do see the ordinary rod, I believe, there, which is going to be actually quite helpful at recycling this energy if the Snorlax goes down, or when the Snorlax goes down, I should say. But Robin still isn't out of this game. You know, Filippo's at 4 prize cards, and he's only taking 1 prize card at a time. And Robin now has the ability to spread 12 damage counters around, and that adds up really fast. You know, 2 of those can take out a Genesect, 2 of those puts a ton of pressure onto a Mew. So let's see what's going on.
Yeah, and this is where if that Genesect gets knocked out. Oh, so you see here, I think Filippo's just checking the...
Yeah, but it's got to be in the active. I think he might have thought it worked, but yeah, it doesn't, unfortunately. So is that all 110? Is it all on that Jenny?
Yeah, so if that's all on the Genesect and that knocks that out...
Yes, that's knocked out. Oh, then 4. Okay, elsewhere.
So he's waiting for the choice belt for a future knockout on the Snorlax.
Not 100% sure if Lost City activates this. I think Lost City is only knocked out damage from attacks, I believe. No, looks like I'm wrong. So... Oh, looks like they're double checking.
Yeah, so Lost City, whenever a Pokemon is knocked out.
Oh, no. Yep. Knocked out at all, so it doesn't matter about damage. So that does go into the Lost Zone. Ignore me.
but now this is where we start to wonder if that Mew is going to... The Mew VMax is going to be taken out of play. If a Mew V gets put down, then that Psychic Leap is available.
True.
And also there's potential for an Oricorio to go down, which will reduce the damage, and that will take it out of Snorlax range. Unless there was 10 damage put on the active, which I don't think there was.
No.
So at this point, Robin is committing to the route of Genesect knockouts, which is always challenging because it's a lot of hit points to get through with Sableyes, especially if they get sent to the Lost Zone.
Yeah, that Lost City is putting in a ton of work there. Such a good answer to these sort of one prize decks, you know, not just LostBox, you know, Reggie's, if he went into that for whatever reason, was good against that. Lost City putting in the finest of work. And then we do see that Mew V come down. We see a boss into the Snorlax here. Not a boss, a cross switcher, I should say. Then this is looking tough. Here we do see that Forest Hillstone giving Filippo the ability to, you know, computer search any card from deck, search any card from deck on a V-Star ability, which is insane for me. We never really had that option before, right? Being able to just use a V-Star power and be able to get half a star buff. Never a bad thing. So this Snorlax going down is going to be quite tough, though. You know, Lost City is going into the Lost Zone. Robin still hasn't taken that Snorlax out of the prize card yet, meaning that that benched Mew VMax is going to be out of reach. I don't actually see a way he'll be able to get to that, which is quite sad.
Yeah, and that's the scary part here of big VMaxes against the LostBox, because they typically like to win single prize matchups. It's the strongest single prize deck.
Yep.
Can gatekeep a lot of those decks that are doing well right now in Brisbane.
Yeah.
Is what we believed. But then here against Mew, that does take a lot of damage, and that's where the Snorlax is so key to success there to try and get those big knockouts. And then you know the Greninja as well, right? That was out early on. That's 90 damage to 2 of the bench Pokemon. So that's a way to spread lots of damage there.
Yeah, for sure. And in case anyone's tuned in recently and you're a bit unsure as to why there's a Genesect that has a basic grass energy with some writing on it, that is a judge-issued proxy. So a judge has issued that proxy for some reason. Whatever that reason is, that is standard legal. The judges are aware there's nothing untoward going on. That is a proxy for a Forest Seal Stone. That new card from Silver Tempest acts as a tool card. It gives the V card, whatever it's attached to, a V-star ability, and that ability lets you grab any card from your deck. So half a star worth for what it's worth. So that is what that is there. We were equally as confused as well. But yeah,
it's still active. There's no V-star marker been turned over yet. So
yes.
That's the great thing about it, is you can keep it there for the rest of the game until you need it.
Yep.
And it can get you out of a bad situation in a pinch. As we do see that Mew now on the bench. A Psychic Leap is possible, but this time taking away the threat of the Snorlax is a bigger priority for Filippo. And as we saw in the last game, the same scenario of the Snorlax being prized has happened again. And I think that might have been why Robin went for that knockout in the Genesect, was to try and get the Snorlax out of the prizes, but on this occasion, not able to get it.
And I think the door for this game for Robin might be starting to slam shut, unfortunately. Yeah, got to keep that. Well, that's actually a very easy chorus there. Mew is looking strong. That Forest Seal Stone has a really good interaction really with these 4 DTE Mews, because even on the path to the peak you can use the Forest Seal Stone to grab any card from your deck, essentially unpathing yourself, meaning you can draw again, because the way it's ruled is that the Forest Seal Stone itself has the ability, not the Pokemon, so you can actually use that Forest Seal Stone under path to the peak lock, which is really interesting. But right now, where there is no path to the peak, it is that Lost City putting in crazy value. At this moment in time, Robin has 17 cards in his Lost. That's a third of his deck almost. You have to wonder, how can you operate with a third of your deck just unaccessible?
Yeah, and at this point, that Lost City is a big include here for Mew VMax, which we haven't seen with all the lists. And in this matchup, Filippo getting huge value out of it. On the opposite side, in the LostBox, there is no stadium. Yeah,
I was literally just looking at that. So, if left unchecked, the Lost City can just, run haywire. So we see 2 ordinary rods. So, Robin realising that these Pokemon can go down and they need to be recycled. But if Lost City just stops that from happening, all of a sudden, you only play 2 Snorlax, 2 Sableye, 1 Radiant Greninja, obviously. It's like, well, how are you going to continue the game?
Yeah, it seems like Robin has really melded his deck around beating Lugia.
Yeah.
And because of that, removed the Drapion, hasn't got the Stadium Bounce for the Lost City. So all of the things that can make Mew VMax beat you, not quite working in his favour. And we had that amazing graphic at the start which explained the strategy for LostBox in this. It was big hitters and Drapion need to be prioritised to get those knockouts. And quite frankly, the big hitters for Robin are Snorlax.
Yes.
Snorlax and Snorlax.
And they've both been prized game 1 and 2. We did see the Forest Seal Stone get activated. I believe it was for a Marnie. It was for a supporter, I believe. Yeah, I think it was for that Marnie there. So that was the Forest Seal Stone being activated. It is not a copy of Grass Energy. It is a judge-issued proxy. Here we see a Power Tablet. I wonder if we see... Oh, we see a Marnie. Okay. So just really limiting Robin's options there, because there was that Boss's Orders in Robin's hand that he's been trying to find for the longest of times, but now it's put down to the bottom. Only 41 seconds left on this game. Can Robin pull this out to try and force the tie, or will Filippo run away? But here we see a Lost Vacuum. What's going to get rid of the air balloon as well?
Yeah, we mentioned about Filippo and the way he was playing this as a Mew VMax player. You're a Mew VMax player yourself. What would you have been worried about and then now happy to see not come out in this matchup?
Well, Drapion's the most easy on-the-face answer of that. Right? I think at this point it's fairly obvious that Robin doesn't play the Drapion. That means you can get, crazy with the VMax. You can put them in play. You don't have to worry about a big free prize swing happening, as it were. And I think if I was Philip, I'd just be happy that the Lost City came out nice and early, and I've just been removing all Robin's tackles. I'm not even sure what Robin can attack with once this Sableye hits the Lost, because I think both of them will be there now. Both the Cramorants are there. One Snorlax in there. One's in the prizes. Greninja's in the prizes as well. Yeah, getting rid of that Greninja early was clutch.
A little Luminion attack, maybe?
Yeah, no, we might have to see the Aqua return, quite honestly. And we do see the Psychic Leap.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
Just everything going against Robin here. Just that knockout with the power
It is
tablet.
a KO. Yeah, definitely they were just confirming, yeah.
Yeah, using the Psychic Leap, so it does 50 damage with the double turbo energy, so adding a power tablet in makes it 80. Perfect knockout on Sableye. Puts it back into the deck, takes away those energy counters, and means that Sableye is now in the lost zone. So Robin really running out of options at this late stage.
Yeah, and it's not looking... What have we got there? Manaphy...
Manaphy has an attack.
It does. 1 for 20, I believe. Is it Aqua Splash? Oh, Rain Splash.
It's not really worth thinking about at this point. If we're going down to the Manaphy, then it's really not looking good for Robin. But honestly, at this point, that Spit Innocently from the Cramorant is most likely the biggest damage output, and 110 at this stage is just not good enough.
I think both the Cramorants are in the Lost Zone.
There's one on the bench.
Oh, that's a Lost Zone. Yeah. Sorry, my bad. Yeah. So that 110... Yeah, I mean, I can take out the Genesect, I guess, if you can find the boss, but the boss got put to the boss got put to the bottom of the deck anyway, off the Marnie. So
not looking good.
I think Robin is just looking at it, trying to think, is there any way I can win this game? Already 1-0 down, so he needs to get a win to force a tie here. If this game doesn't finish, Filippo actually gets the win, gets the W, and let's see what's in that discard pile.
And this is experience here from Robin, even though, we can see right now that this is a game that's going to go against him, and he probably knows it's a game that's going to go against him. But you still play till the end because you just never know what might happen. We saw in the final of LAIC a scoop happening maybe too early. And since then, I think a lot of players will be going into games thinking, only scoop once I know it's definitely done, or if I'm doing it for time. And at this stage, time is not a factor.
Yeah.
Robin is just playing to make sure that the result does go against him.
Yeah, so I actually made a mistake. One Sableye was actually in the discard pile, not in the last zone. So we could see a Ordinary Rod to try and get the Sableye back. But I think there doesn't seem like there's a ton of search for that Sableye. If you was to ride it back in, you'd have to rely on the next Comfey. Or plays the Escape Rope now. Okay, what does he go into here? He goes to another Genesect. Interesting to his Genesect. He must have a switching option in hand to make that, because obviously Genesect can be quite troublesome if it's in the active. Yeah, that one did use a Flower Set. So here we see another Flower Set. This could be quite big. Or we see Capture Energy doesn't actually get you the Sableye because you need to attach the Psychic for that. Unless there's a Mirage Gate knocking about.
Yeah, Mirage Gate, I guess, would be an option. It would give you a retreat out as well.
Yes.
By putting it on the Comfey. But again, it's... Everything right now is hard resources to come by for Robin, and a lot of prizes to take. And we do see time on the round at the bottom. I believe that little one dice that's by the Archeops token there, that is indicating turn 1. But we'll find out shortly for you. And you can see here, Robin just thinking through all his options. There is an opportunity to get that Genesect that's on the bench. The question then is, will there be enough sprinkle off of that to get another Pokemon? Because first Sableye down would potentially go to the Lost Zone, and then it would take away the ability to do the next set of sprinkles.
Yeah, for sure. That Lost City has just been putting in the crazy work. And the problem is, Philippo's on 2 prizes, and he's going to be taking a prize at every turn unless some... shenanigans happen with that Genesect being in the active position, but most likely that's putting Robin on a pretty time clock here to be able to win this game, because Filippo is definitely in a position to where he can win.
So there's 130 on that Genesect, so there will be 60 damage put onto it with the knockout.
Yep.
Wait, no, it's 160 on the Genesect, so 30 on that Genesect will get the knockout, so that will allow you to put 90 on another Genesect. So if he's able to get 2 Sableyes in consecutive turns here,
he could,
in theory, win this game.
Or Sableye into Boss Cramorant as well can get there.
That'll be another option. So there is very much a route to victory here for Robin, and that's what he's playing to.
It doesn't look like Sableye is coming out this turn. Oh my goodness. It's not looking good. I think the Oranguru's been used. We have to see a Spit Innocently. Spit Innocently does 110.
So then he can use the Sableye next turn to get the 2 Genesect. So, this is what we talk about with LostBox, is you feel like you're ahead, and then suddenly the damage starts accumulating on those Genesects. And as we mentioned before, Genesects are the targets because the Psychic Leap allows you to remove energy from the Mew. So right now, if they get that Sableye off next turn, then that's going to be access to a double knockout.
Does that switch cart mess that maths up though? Because switch cart heals 30 from the basic it moves. Does that? I think that might push it out of the range, right?
Right, so we've got 160 on the Genesect, needs 30 to knock it out.
That needs 30 left, yeah.
And then the one that's in the active is 110, so that'll put it down to 80, which would then leave 110. So it would put it out of range.
Yeah,
so switch cart right now.
the switch cart actually might come in the clutch. An interesting debate with among us new players. Switch cart over just raw copies of Switch. You know, switch cart letting you heal, but they can have that stipulation that it only works on basic Pokemon. Can come up in really niche situations, but equally healing a 30 can come up against these decks that like to spread damage around.
Because you can retreat the Mew and then use a switch cart on the Genesect, so there's always that option to switch it back. But that switch cart there will go into play. And that takes away the only option from Robin. So Robin accepts that is the...